Today's episode of Daily Persuasion is going to be a little bit different because I'm not going to give you a take on the day's headlines. Rather, I'm going to talk to you about one of the most useful frameworks that there is that are going to apply to your situation, to your life. And it is going to be a template, a model, a process through which you can run any decision that pertains to business, career, or even purchasing decisions. It will allow you to see through people's motivations, cut through their crap and their cope, because you'll understand that, like every hypnotist understands through their practice of hypnosis, everyone is lying to themselves all the time about everything. Honesty is rare, truth is rarer. Let's go. The model I want to talk to you about is called the jobs to be done theory. JTBD for short. Now, it goes like this. Popularized in Silicon Valley, as well as having application in the MBA program of Harvard Business School. Jobs to be done theory says that customers buy tools to get jobs done in their lives, and they choose the tool for the job they perceive to be the highest value relative to alternatives. And by value, we mean functional value, emotional value, and financial value. This theory has been developed by Tony Ulwick, expanded by Clayton Christensen, and crystallized by Thomas J. Miller in his book Call Your Shots, which is about jobs to be done theory, where you can predict things with accuracy and people will be amazed and follow you and submit to you and your authority based. The job to be done model allows you to decide what services to sell and how to sell them. If you're a services-based entrepreneur, if you're working on different features for a software or some other sort of a product, physical or virtual, it will tell you how to do it. It will enable you to be the most attractive partner that you can be. This is good stuff. That's both business partner and other sorts of partner. So functional value is it does something cool, better, superior. And everything is relative to alternatives. So value is not self-existing. It's not isolated. It exists relative to everything else. Value has, or gold rather, has more value than a seashell because it's rarer, obviously, and other numerous reasons that precious metals are more valuable than seashells. You get the idea here. So functional value, it performs its function. It's doing of the job to be done, and that job can be something like, well, let's take Google Calendar for example. What job am I getting to Google Calendar? Having my calendar on every device with reminders so that I am where I say I'm going to be, when I'm going to be there, when I say I'm going to be there. So I don't have to keep it paper. I can keep it virtual. Now, the jobs to be done formula for the job itself is when I blank, I want to be able to blank so that blank. When I have calls and events coming up in my life, I want to be reminded automatically when those are so that I show up on time. Because time is important to me, right? Now, when I have an event coming up that I need to go to, I want to be able to write it once in one place so that it is on every single device that I have with me. So this is tablet, this is laptops, this is mobile phone, right? Because it's like you open the calendar webpage, right? Or the app. So see how simple that is? Oh, okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So that's what a job to be done is. Now, the alternative to Google Calendar is what I used to do, which is a literal physical planner or one of those giant like desk-sized calendars. That is inferior relative to the alternative of Google Calendar. Some people have like a built-in calendar app on their phone, but it doesn't sync with my email because when I want to say yes to being invited to an event, I want to be able to gives that person my email so that they can invite me and automatically make it show up on my schedule so I don't have to write anything out or do anything else. And I'll be reminded of it automatically with instructions and directions and description from the person who invited me. Okay, that's a lot. That's another job. So Google Calendar does all these jobs, superior to alternatives. Functional value, meaning other people can invite me to things. They can write up the event description. They can put it in the email. If it's a video call, they can put it in the video call description. There's multiple automated reminders. It has ways of repeating the event if it's like a recurring client call. It can invite multiple people. I can hide the event from other people. I can make it private. I could share it with people in my family so they know where I'm going to be and when. See, all these things happening. This is amazing. Truly amazing. Superior functional value relative to the alternatives I had been using. Now, what about emotional value? Thomas Miller describes emotional value as having two options, really. I feel like good enough's good enough, or I feel like only the best will do. The best or nothing. Or good enough's good enough. There's not really any other two emotional states associated with a purchase. So, how do we define that? How do we select for those emotions, those two states, one of two states? Well, it's with the economic value, the financial value. Is it a commodity product? Am I paying low or no cost for it relative to alternatives? Or am I spending the big bucks? Am I buying a Porsche? So you can see the Porsche versus a Toyota Prius. One is the best or nothing, and it's expensive. One is good enough's good enough, and I feel better. I feel okay. I feel better because of the price and how low the price is. And then I'm going to cope talk about environmentalism and the going green and this hybrid nonsense and whatever, right? Okay, you understand now. So coming back to this, every offer has a value stack. This can be functional value. So something that is like Google Calendar, it's superior relative to alternatives because of its functions, its features, its abilities. Relative to the alternative I had been using, which was remember it myself, write it on a freaking clipboard, try to create alarms. Seriously, I did this. I was creating alarms with my alarm app on my old flip phone of events I had coming up. I would go to try to find the day, or I would have okay, I need to remind myself every day for the next 3 days at 6 a.m. because I have a 7 a.m. event coming up in 3 days away, and I want to make sure I don't miss it. Seriously, right? Just use Google Calendar, dude. And then the inconvenience of having to go buy a new calendar for my desk and then writing everything in and then doing it 12 times. I've had 12 events coming up with the client. Oh, just miserable, right? Now, do I pay anything for Google? So Google Calendar. I pay for Google Workspace. It's like a couple $100 a year, I think. But I don't actually pay for Google Calendar itself, but it's just part of the suite, right? So what are we getting here? We're getting all these features and this functionality, which is superior relative to alternatives, for a great price. So is it good enough? Yes. Now, is it the absolute best? No. There are myriad, more expensive and more sophisticated AI-assisted scheduling apps and virtual assistants, putting the virtual and virtual assisted, that have all manner of bells and whistles. It's a G7 of calendars. Do I need that? Relative to the price of those and all the features it gets. No, good enough's good enough. I just need, and there you go. When people use the word just, when they talk about what they want to buy, they're likely looking for a good enough is a good enough emotional state associated with the product they got relative to the low price, which is cheaper than other things. And the function is it does just the things that they need it to do. So that's more of a commodity product that's going to be less expensive. So you want to push the price down much as possible by economies of scale, and therefore hopefully have your product or your profit margin high enough to make it worthwhile. But you're going to need distribution in order to sell that many. Okay, so now you have an entire business model based on that. You see how that worked? And this also helps you understand the expectations of a, let's say, romantic partner. Are they a good enough because they have a humble background and they have natural gratitude for their lot in life? Or are they used to the best or nothing because daddy could afford it? And understand that their expectations of you are going to align. They are going to be in a state of judgment towards you and your value to them, and they're going to be emotionally distant towards you if you do not meet and exceed their expectations or high expectations. And their expectations of you might be higher than they are of themselves. Understand this. But someone who is work ethic, grew up in a coupon clipping home, their expectations are going to be different. Now, neither of these is right or wrong. If you are an upper class, an aristocrat, or neo-aristocrat, well, there's really only going to be one option for you here. Okay? The best or nothing, because that's your perspective. You both want the best or nothing. And that actually works in a marriage where the other person expects the best or nothing and the other person expects the best of nothing, or best or nothing. But as long as they both know this, they'll be offering each other the best. And it's going to be a power couple sort of relation that people talk about, with the appropriate male-female leader supporter dynamic of every functional, harmonious marriage between a man and a woman. That same dynamic can also be created in a gratitude for what one another offers in other classes and other states and other abilities and other, let's say, earning brackets, income brackets, right? That can also have a fantastic and harmonious relationship when there is that gratitude for both of them feel like they made it with an absolute deal, right? From the relationship, and how grateful the other person is for the justs that they got. I am describing relationships like products, and that's okay, because when we have proven models that map onto the human brain and human behavior, we have predictive ability. We don't have to guess or hope or wonder. We can know. Now, if you have a professional services business with relatively expensive services, you don't want to get caught mid-market. So you want to either have it be repeatable and scalable. I'm thinking about an animation company that did that approach, where it was something like $1,000 a month subscription for 4 animated promotional video sales letters for your product, your services, your brand a month. A real conveyor belt system, right? You said, here are the graphics that I like for this month. Here's the anime. Here's the style, and you have to provide the script, by the way, and the voiceover, and we'll turn it into an animated video, kind of a promotional video, product video, whatever. $1,000 a month, and they probably had several thousand customers at that, and their backend was tight. I understand that the animation team that they were using was in Pakistan. Okay, so we got some international labor arbitrage there. I don't know what their profit margin was, maybe 30%, 40% on that, but they know what they're doing. Economies of scale, systems and processes and operations, tight, clean. Now, if we then say, well, I want to do that, but I want to do it US based, so it's going to be $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month for that same outcome. Of these 4 1-minute videos or less for 40 grand or 20 grand or 10 grand or 8 grand, that's just not a superior outcome. It's not superior functional value relative to the alternative of good enough is good enough for $1,000. You understand? And there's a difference between a Porsche and a Prius in terms of the functional value, its features and capabilities. So now you understand. If someone is the best or nothing, then their expectation is going to be so much higher. So much higher. So a concierge experience, luxury, retreat, premium, exclusive. This is the best or nothing. So in my case, my professional ghostwriting services, I do position them as the best or nothing. I mean, my slogan is a registered trademark of the best way to say it. Just in my brand. So if it's the best or nothing, then obviously it has to be one of the most expensive services out there. And it has to be high touch. And it has to be much FaceTime. And it can't be a marketing agency. And it can't be passing people off to freelancers. I can't pass people off to freelancers, clients rather, and hope that somebody has a good time interviewing the person, because I'm not going to do it. right? And it's not going to work that way. Not a good situation, right? So given that, I understand what my constraints are. Need to have a higher price. Needs to be emotionally dynamic and so fulfilling and wow people. I have to wow them, and I have to offer them everything that they possibly need for this. Again, concierge, full service, but boutique experience, small, intimate team. It needs to be really expensive to justify it, and also to reinforce, wow, this really is the best because I paid a lot for it. That's why I feel the best about it. Screw you, I hired Joshua Lisec. It's the best book that's ever been written because that's who he is. This is what people tell themselves. It's self-talk. It's not bragging if it's true. So now that you understand the job to be done, you know people buy tools to get jobs done, and they choose the tool that they perceive to be the highest value relative to alternatives, given what functional value is, what it does. Do they want everything, or do they want just? The emotional value, therefore, is going to be good enough's good enough relative to how low the price is. Oh, that's a good deal. Or the best or nothing. I want to feel superior and better than everybody else because that's who I am. And therefore, I'm going to pay the most for it because I can, because screw you. Now that you know this, you understand how humans work.